Hello, we are in the 10th gate, the gate of treading, the behavior of the self, and we have the second line, the hermit. Here in the 10th gate, we have the theme of behavior or the code of behavior for all second lines, which is being the hermit. Notice that the chameleon and the hermit are both in hiding. The chameleon hides in public. You have somebody walking around with a lot of wands. You have no idea how deep they are, how much they know. And the hermit is the obvious withdrawal. We usually describe the second line as being in their room on the ground floor of the building, and the lights are on, the curtains are open. They're in their own world. They can't even imagine that anybody's going to be looking in. Why would anybody want to be doing that? But of course they can. Everybody can look in through that window. The lifetime learning is the successful sidestepping of behavioral requirements through isolation. This is what all second lines are doing. They're sidestepping. They're getting out of the way. They're not getting involved unless, of course, somebody calls them out. And hopefully it's correct for them to respond to that calling. We've seen in our work together that all second lines tend to suffer from the fact that they don't know that there is somebody who's going to burst in on them. Let's see them, try to condition them because they can see them. The hermit is the correct behavior. Withdraw rather than accept conditioning away from what is your true nature. In the exaltation, where mental functions enrich aloneness, independent behavior through isolation. These second lines in gate 10, they are great at communicating the essence of correct behavior. If you can get them to talk about it, if you can get into the window and grab their attention. The detriment, the angry exile, isolation to preserve independent behavior in the face of conditioning. The second line gets called out, but it may not work, and it goes back into its space where it's most natural, but it can't leave behind the failure or the disappointment of the interaction, and it goes into its withdrawal as the angry exile. I don't belong in this world. I don't want to know anything about it. I am not interested. Remember that the individual is a mutative force, and at the same time, it is this mutative force that establishes the behavioral pattern for the totality. Whichever way that comes out, it is better to withdraw than to accept conditioning. To be the hermit is so important. The other thing, is in the genetic continuity, as in the 12th gate in the second line, purification. The hermit is someone who has to rigorously withdraw from negative forces. Genetic continuity will say that's the same for all second lines. That is the role of behavior for the hermit. It is not simply to withdraw, but to withdraw from negative forces, not from all forces. Negative forces are those forces that apply conditioning and try to change the nature of the hermit, to bring the hermit out of their isolation. The real key to all second lines is that the moment someone is trying to break in on your second line and condition you, withdraw. It is better for you to withdraw and be in your own process, because this is what is healthy. And it is only this way, in this withdrawal, that you are going to find love for yourself. Think about that as a hermit. What happens is that when people recognize you for something and they pull you, then you tend to confuse that with love. I'm a 2-4. I recognize this in myself and my own process before I really started to decondition, and my experiment really became part of who I truly am. So you confuse it with love, which it is not, and nor should it be. That is, that those people, they can look into you, they can try to pull you out. They can pull you out by getting you to recognize your nature, but then they turn it into something motivated. They try to pump you up with it. And this has nothing to do with the role of the hermit. The role of the hermit is to avoid such conditioning in order to have an opportunity to be awake. The grounding comes through gate 15 in the second line of influence. When a second line is called out, they can be very influential, not in the same way as the fourth or the fifth lines, but in their own way. This is lower trigram, after all. And so the most influential way that anybody can have is in being correct, in living as yourself. The moon is still in gate 59, the sacral gate of sexuality. Gate 40 is next at 1846. This is the tribal ego gate of aloneness, a gate of denial, and also a love gate. The love of work is what is expressed here. We have looked at all the ego gates now on our journey around the wheel. And we know that, especially in the 26 and the 40, there is a need for work to be rewarded by rest. And the balance should definitely be more geared towards rest. Gate 40 is saying, I will work hard for you. And in return, you leave me alone. And finally, the moon moves into gate 64 at 5:49. This is the head center gate of confusion. It is an abstract sensing circuit gate. It's a very visual gate where images can appear like a movie, where all the scenes have been chopped about and stuck back together in the wrong order. This is the confusion. And how do you possibly make sense out of all that? Well, we'll find out tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you soon and take care until I do. Yeah, as always, love yourself and go gently.